Awesome.
Well, hello everyone, and welcome to my channel, P.L. Stewart, The Drop Kingdom Saga, and Six Elementals interviews. Good day, good morning, good evening, good night, wherever you are. It's early in the morning on this side of the world.
Yeah.
My wonderful guest, it's afternoon on her side of the world. However, she's certainly worth getting up early for. Ladies and gentlemen, the fabulous Ariana Weldon. How are you today?
I am so good because it's nice in the afternoon for me, so I've had time to wake up. But yeah, it's good. Good day today. And it's super excited to catch up with you.
Thank you so much for joining me. So excited about
Thank
this.
you for inviting me.
Oh, of course, a long overdue. Actually, I've only done so many interviews on the channel. However, you were definitely. I need to get you in the first year. I plan a year at a time, so I need to definitely.
Amazing! Thank you. I'm so excited.
Oh wow, the Alliance. Hey, how are you? How are you?
This is so good because Elle often forgets everything. And so I was like, Elle, it's 8 a.m. You should be awake. You should be awake. And I'm so excited.
Oh, that's amazing. Thank you so much for coming to see Ariana and supporting her. Oh, look at that. Josh.
Josh Walker. Yes. Josh was like, all right, remind me the day before. I was like, yeah, I can do that. That's no problem. I was like, you got to come hang out with us.
The awesome Josh Walker.
He's so cool.
Well-known personality in this space, so no need for introductions there. I had the privilege of meeting him, of course, in WorldCon, which was
Did you get to pick him up as well? Because I saw loads of pictures of people picking up Josh.
I didn't pick him up. Is that a thing? I missed that. Okay, well, next time.
Yeah.
Next time for sure. And who else is here? Wow, this is you certainly draw the crowd. Even sister, hello, how are you, Vivian?
I just throw things down and beg people to come in so that it's not just you and me yapping at each other, which we could do. Like,
totally, absolutely. Thanks for coming out and supporting Area. And okay, so we have to give a special shout out.
We do.
because I know it's really, really early for you, Ganesh, where you are, so you deserve some kind of medal.
No one told him to live on the West Coast. That was 100% his own fault.
So, he says he wasn't threatened at all with Wally Hard by not showing up. So, yeah.
I mean, I didn't threaten him. I know you would never threaten him, so I don't know who's threatening Ganesh, but...
Ganesh, you are amazing. I also had the privilege and the pleasure of meeting Ganesh in WorldCon in Seattle. I feel like the luckiest person in the world. So, and I'm, I
was really jealous about that because obviously you got to see him, you got to see ZB Steele, who I love and love to bully, and then the pair of them got together and just sent me a selfie of them both flipping me off. So they were like, "Oh yeah, this is for you." So thanks.
Yeah, I mean, just an amazing experience. Actually, maybe we can lead off a bit with that. So. Ariana, obviously you've been to a couple of, I know that you've been to WorldCon in Glasgow last year. I'm not sure how many other cons you've been to or book type events, conventions.
So it kind of varies a lot. So basically, if anyone that I'm a rabid fan for, which is 90% of everything above me, special mention to 2 particular titles behind me that I can't. This is really hard to maneuver. Got it. Okay. So it started with FantasyCon in 2023, which is where I made a lot of book friends. I joined some Discord servers that have ended up taking over my life. And then slowly from there, I was just like going to different panel events at the booksellers stores. I was doing all sorts. And then WorldCon came up. I have friends in Scotland. And I was like, hey, I'm going to sleep on your sofa. And one of them was like, we have an actual bed for you, which is great. And so kind of, I just have been going all over where I can. I've got World Fantasy Con in Brighton in October, which I'm so excited for because some of the friends that I saw at Chimera in June are going to be there, and I'm just really excited. England's a small, the UK is a small country, but like when you're so spread out, it's hard to get together. And when your friends are doing really cool stuff like writing books, it's like even harder to get hold of them.
Yeah, absolutely. So how do you characterize the experience of going to these book conventions and these book fairs and these cons? How do you characterize it?
So I think it kind of depends on what we're kind of talking about. So like the first fantasy con I went to in 2023, I was like, oh, I'm really keen on these panels. I'm going to go to these and I'm going to listen. And I still kind of do that. But like if you saw my Worldcon schedule, I was like, I'm going to go to all these panels and I'm going to go to these things. And then I think you and I spent more of it chatting in front of the Broken Bindings stand, which became the de facto meeting place. And then I spent a very large chunk of it just in the hotel bar with Michael R. Miller and everyone else who just was like, I just need to sit down for a few minutes. So it became more like a whole massive social thing for me. So unless I'm at like one of the blah, blah, blah in conversation with blah, blah, blah things at like Waterstones or Blackwells, I'm not actually getting to see and hear the authors that I am booking these events for because I just get sidetracked with the social side, like massively.
And there's nothing wrong with that. And I think, as a matter of fact, perhaps that's actually the highlight because.
Yeah, definitely.
I mean, in social media, we make all these friends, these connections, these deep relationships, and we don't see the person because they live on the other side of the planet. But then people travel and arrive for this convention, and you finally see this person that you've been dear friends with for 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 years for the first time, and then of course
and you're like, oh my god, you have legs, you're 3D.
Exactly, and then multiply that by 15, 20, 30, and there goes your whole convention, right?
Yeah, and it's a funny one as well because I dragged my friend who is much more introverted than I am. And I did that horrible thing where I was like an excited puppy. And I was like, oh my God, I have to go say hi to this person because like we've been chatting so much and I have to go. And my friend was just standing there like desperately trying to not be near anyone else. And in Glasgow, that was really hard to do. Fortunately, she ended up making friends with Pam P.S. Livingston. And those two are now like inseparable besties. It's really quite dangerous, but I love it for them. but yeah, it is really like that. Like you're like, oh my gosh, this person that I've talked to and connected with. And also I think it's probably one of the few instances where you might be there by yourself, but you will have something in common with at least 20 people in the room that you're in. You will find something in common. So you can make friends and connections really easily. And I think if you like went into any other space like that, it would not be that same level of impact.
No, absolutely. I just love the atmosphere. It's so welcoming. It's so, in a way, cohesive, even though everyone, I mean, there's so many, disparate backgrounds, but I love a commonality of books and comics and literature. And then, and people, as you said, for example, there's people there who are very introverted and people who are very extroverted, but you can go into little break-off rooms or you can just hang out with your tribe or...
Yeah, and you can... So I went to Chimera, which is this smaller book festival in Scotland that they do, and it's so much fun. It was so good. And it was me and a friend, L.M. Douglas, who's an indie author as well, circles in similar groups to like Dave Lawson, and she's part of the Secret Scribes. And there was a group just sitting at this table. It was just me and Lorraine. And I was like, oh, let's just go make friends. It's fine. Let's just go make friends. So we ended up just chatting with like an author who's going to be debuting soon, Elian Morgan, who is one of the loveliest people in the whole wide world. I adore them. Nina, their partner, and then Annabelle Campbell, who wrote The Outcast Mage. And Annabelle is in my phone as Anna Babe because that is the nickname that she was given by us at Chimera. So, but it was like literally just that we just went and sat down because like, oh, we only know each other. Who are you all? And like, yeah, then you end up in a group chat and you've got plans for all sorts of things now.
Yeah. And, I think I would have regretted, I'm not sure how you feel, I would have regretted not having my first big con, especially Worldcon, not being mostly the social aspect, like you said, hanging out in the bar and just talking to people, rather than going to every single panel that I planned, because I would have missed out on seeing all those people. So I couldn't trade that for my experiences that I had with.
No, I think it's like not even apples to oranges comparisons. It's like, I don't know, milk and some mac and cheese or something. Like we're in totally different. I don't eat a lot of food, if I'm honest. But it's yeah, you can't compare it. You're getting two completely different experiences. Oh, that's my friend John. Yeah.
Hey, John, what's up?
You could go to the one in Canada. It's not that far.
Yeah, come to Canada 2027, Montreal. If you're
Bill
interested.
Stewart will be there. He's lovely.
Oh, thank you.
But yeah, it's an amazing one. And I think Dragon Con is happening at the moment. So I know if you, like, I messaged Ronnie and I was like, oh, if you're awake tomorrow at 8 for any chance. He's been up late and it's been messy. So I think he's probably paneling or half asleep. So he probably won't pop in to say hi to us.
Well, I have to say that, again, the experience was fantastic. One of the highlights last year, Deb and I meeting you. How did you get involved in this whole bookish space? How did you get started in all of this?
Gosh, right. So it was kind of a funny one. So I joined loads of Discords because I need constant stimulation to live my life. And so I was in our Verdes server with Bo Kelly, who runs SFF Insiders. And he had said he was putting together a group. And I made a comment about, I'd be keen to join as like a, hey, JK, unless. And so I was with them for quite a while, about maybe under a year. So, and then in February of this year, I ended up changing groups to work with Corey Ratliff on Grimoire Inc. reviews, which is, they were both fun, but in very different ways. But yeah, so it was sort of, I just insert myself into spaces and then make everyone else deal with my existence, and for better or worse on what that means. And yeah, so it was sort of just, that moment with Bo when we were chatting when I was with them. And then when I ended up jumping over to Grimoire shortly, I don't want to say shortly is not accurate. But earlier this year. And but before that I was just yammering on NetGalley reviews and on Goodreads. And I'm one of those people that if I really connect with a book, the first thing I do is make some post somewhere to just scream incoherently at the author. And again, just make them have to deal with my existence for better or worse. So yeah, it's just kind of ended up that way. It's not anything like, I know for like Josh who reviews, but he's also an author, and of course yourself, I have no aspirations to be a writer. So I'm just there for the vibes.
I don't know. Well, I love your reviews. They're extremely well written. So
thanks.
I don't know. Perhaps you never know. You might.
I don't think anyone needs. I mean, I've had some weird ideas for some short stories that I've like thrown around, mainly to ZB Steele, and I'm like, hey, what if I did this thing? And he just tells me to, like, yeah, you got his default response. If you ever need to be hyped, like ZB Steele will be your hype human, because his response will always be, "Oh, let's go! Like, let's do this." And like, great. Okay, cool. He's really like the golden retriever of Grimdark.
He is awesome. Again, got to meet him.
Yeah. You did get to meet. So sweet. Yeah.
No, that was wonderful. Tell us a bit more about Grimoire. They, I mean, again, looks like an awesome setup. So
it's really good. Yeah. So it was shortly after. So Vivian, who's chatting in the comments, is of course one of our amazing reviewers. I've tried to recruit Elle a few times. I'm not sure Elle has finished a book other than her own this year. Lots of stuff with rocks for Elle. So I had just stepped away from SFF Insiders, who again, great team, like nothing but love for them. And Corey said, I think I'm thinking of setting up this review thing. Do you want to maybe join in on that? And I said, well, I'm happy to help you, set it up and see what happens. And so we just started like building this kind of team, and it's just people that we don't necessarily care if they've got like a massive following in the bookish community or if they're authors themselves. It's more like, this is a cool person. They like cool books, and we want to hear what their writings are. and things like that. So it's very chill. If you might have seen from like Jeremy, who one of our reviewers, he loves to throw in emojis. And we're like, yeah, do your emojis. And yeah, other ones are just like incoherent keyboard smash ramblings. And so it kind of spans I'd say the way I see Grimoire a lot is it's just, if you read a lot of the reviews, they feel like your friend is just telling you about why they love this book. And I think that makes it feel a bit more casual. And that's not to say how other groups do it is wrong. It's just different.
Yeah, and that's one of the things I actually love about it, and it seems very unique that way, and just cool. And obviously, there's the beauty of being in this space is that there's room for everyone, right? Every kind of review site, every kind of, so yeah, it's spectacular. But how would you compare that to SFF Insiders?
I think so. I'm not going to go crazy political, but I am a crazy political person. It's something that is really important to me. And SFF Insiders was very much like, we need to think about what our posts impact for everyone else around us, particularly after the self-published sci-fi competition had their big mess that I was on one of the reviewing teams for. And yeah, that was, I won't go into all of that. Yes, we do. We love them, Vivian. You're so right. Yeah, so that one was very much like, Bo had a really clear idea of what he wanted and a really clear vision. And he was like, we're going to build this brand and we're going to get the attention of these people. And we're going to like, and they've done so well. Like their follower count is huge. The impact they get. I know they have a lot of contact with publishers directly. So he has built the Bo empire of things that he wanted. And Josh is still on that group. And I love seeing their wins. I love seeing all the people there. Like their team is fantastic. But with the state of the world and everything, I was sort of getting to the point where I was like, I don't feel comfortable sitting quietly on social media and being like, woohoo, books, they're the best. Even though they are. But there are communities that I'm in. There are communities that my friends, my family, people I love are in. There are those things. And I felt like I needed that space to be able to say, like, this is wrong. Here's what you can do about it if you're not happy. So when Corey said it, I was like, okay, well, I'm going to continue to be unapologetically political. And he said, that's fine. As long as you're not using AI to write your reviews, I don't really care. Yeah. Which totally worked for me. So it's definitely, it's more, but Bo has an idea and he wants his SFF Insiders Empire to be an awesome book review and to be like a gold standard. And it is, and he's done that and it's amazing. And Corey was like, I just want to unhinged scream about books that I really love. And I was like, I can do that.
And we need both. We definitely need both.
Absolutely.
Right? We definitely
and I think certainly, yeah. And I think because I'm not an author, because I don't have any skin in the game, I'm not worried about, oh, if I say this, I'm going to upset someone and that might impact ratings, that might impact reviews. And that's, you're always, all of you in the indie book sphere are fighting with that, you know, balancing your personal views and balancing your public presence. Yeah, and as Josh has just said there, it's so important to feel authentic with social media.
No, absolutely. And I think that is also one of the things I love about the space is that everyone is so real, so genuine, and just wonderful and warm. I mean, my experiences here have been just life-changing. And, you know, I always say you become an author and you think it's going to be this solitary thing. And then, no, it's a community thing. And that's been, I think, the best part of it.
And I feel really bad because I know some people who are like really introverted, like Elle, who I love to pieces and is in there. And I feel like, especially as an indie author, when you're like writing the book is almost the easy part. Because then afterwards you have to get on social media and you have to connect with people and you have to promote your book and you have to like talk about things. And not everyone can get away with sliding into a video and talking into a hammer like a microphone. It's a very specific brand of author that can do that. And yeah, it's an extremely social thing. And I think it used to be this idea of like Stephen King huddled in a cave with his alcohol problem. just writing a book. But now it's an extraordinarily social in like thing to be involved in.
Yeah, and a very public thing to be involved in where,
Absolutely.
you have to, if you're someone who it's harder to give of yourself and to let people have a piece of you and to know you, and then, yeah, it can be challenging. But again, so rewarding though, I think, ultimately, if you're willing to
Yeah.
and able to take that plunge. So,
And I think it's an also really interesting thing. So there are authors that I've chatted with for quite a while online, and I always am very clear when I say, "Oh, we spoke on Twitter or Bluesky or Instagram or whatever it is." But I think there's also that line of like being genuine as an author, or if you're a prolific reviewer like Petrick, for
yes,
example,
yes,
but also that line of you've interacted with me, but that doesn't mean like we're friends yet. We're like
yeah.
in this bubble. We might be Twitter friends, we might be Bluesky friends or
Yeah.
Instagram friends, but that doesn't translate to your personal and private life. And so I think that's always an interesting one with that blurred line between online and when you do meet in person, is specifically at those book events for sure.
No, I agree, and that can be challenging. But I think, naturally, eventually, I think those lines become more defined, and I think, you will have people who are more acquaintances, but you'll definitely form a lot of, genuine
Yeah.
and deep friendships, connections with people in this space. I want to quickly put up some new in the kids came in the chat. Oh, Leslie Bennett Cheney.
And
Hello.
Leslie is also one of our Grimoire reviewers.
Ah,
And
fantastic.
her dogs have jumped on my lap a few times now.
Thanks so much for coming out, Leslie. I hope you and your dogs are having a wonderful day. Thanks for coming out and joining. So you, it's funny. So obviously in the UK, you're originally from the West Coast of the United States. It's funny, like every time I talk to you, I can hear a bit more of the British accent seeping in. Like, it's like a layer underneath. Like that's just it's just rising
so
to the
much worse when
surface.
I'm drunk. It's so much worse when I've been drinking. It just, nobody ever knows what I am or where I'm from. And sometimes I roll with that. But recently so I got my British citizenship last month.
Oh, congratulations.
Thank you. So I now have that safety net of a passport. But one of my friends was asking about an accent related thing and said, how would a British person say this? And I was like, well, as a British person. And their response was, you know damn well that is not what I meant. Yeah, the accent thing is all over the place, as Leslie for sure will be able to tell you.
Oh, that is awesome. I had to put this one for me else to
I love Elle's grammar
cat. That's awesome. So what I was getting to is that, having now being, and you're not, I'm not saying that you're an expat of the U.S., but how do you compare the literature bookish scene in the U.S. to the U.K.?
So this is a really funny one because I actually hated reading for the most part when I was still in the US. It turns out I have so I, unsurprisingly to like everyone in the book world and everyone who knows me, I was diagnosed with ADHD, which explains why I struggled to read a lot as a kid. So I don't know a whole lot about the book world in the US other than what I get from everyone who lives there. It's very, very, very cool people in the US, but because it's so massive, it's like really spread out. So although like Vivian and my friend John, who's here, and Elle and all of them, they're in the US, but something like Dragon Con is not accessible to get to necessarily because of the distance. Whereas for me to go up to Chimera or to go down to Brighton, it's just, a few hours.
Yeah.
So I think in terms of like geographic accessibility, the UK is much more accessible. And I think a lot of the larger like Fantasy Con, Chimera, World Con, when it was here, they do their best to make it accessible. They have a lot of community funds. They say if you can't afford it, but you have to be there because this amazing experience. get in touch with us and we'll talk. There are options to volunteer in place of paying registration. And it seems like that kind of makes things a bit more accessible. Whereas the US seems to be geography is the biggest hurdle. But it is the biggest market for most instances. So there are always events there. There are always going to be amazing book tours. It's sort of, that map when someone says they're doing a world tour, but it's like North America, some of Europe, and then maybe Australia.
Yeah.
World tour. So yeah, I think there's pros and cons to it. But I like that the UK in that sense is quite compact because we can do this, and we're not sending everyone into Anaheim like next year. No shade to Worldcon.
So what is it? So now obviously you're an avid reader and you're a wonderful reviewer. What is it that attracts you to certain books? What gets you saying, you know what, I need to check out that book?
So I have been the victim of being taken in by a beautiful cover on more than one occasion. And I use victim heavily on that one in some cases. But everyone loves a good cover. You'll see people do their cover reveals and like they just come out with some amazing looking covers. Elle, who's here, Ostringer Wrath is amazing. It just looks so beautiful. Josh Walker has some incredible art as well on his. Your ones are just so eye-catching with the symbols and everything. So the first thing is always like, what does the cover look like? And then I sort of have this serious, not serious, tongue-in-cheek thing that I say. If I'm reading more than one book written by a cishet white man, I've done something wrong. So I love when it's stories that are like a bit of a different background. So a lot of the ones that you see up here, they might be Asian inspired, they might be African inspired, Eastern European folklore based. I always say, if you give me a book with a djinn, I will read it. That is my go-to. I will read it. I read a lot of queer literature and queer fiction. So what I look for is like, is it a banging cover? And I'll cope if it's not, but I do love a good cover. But how unique is the story gonna be? How interesting is the story gonna be? Is it gonna be, the same rehashing? Is everyone still trying to be George R.R. Martin in terms of like these impactful deaths and this, dark writing? And are they going to be like Tolkien with pages of trees? And I don't want to say the era of cishet white men is over, because it's not, but that's sort of like where I am with that. I look for what is going to be different. And that usually means looking at different voices and different demographics of authors. And then, a banging cover.
Okay, so if you will indulge us, where has that led you? What type of authors has that led you to in terms of some of your faves?
Some really, really cool ones. So Ai Jiang, who did Ling Hun and Palace Close to the Wind, she's got her next book in that duology coming out. I love her work. I have a little corner of my bookshelf dedicated just to Ai because I love it so much. C.L. Clarke is fantastic. Tasha Suri is amazing. Those two are like auto buy authors for me. Yes, Elle for sure with her Spiceless Tree Prostitutes. And actually I do have a copy of Elle's book over there, which she lovingly sent to me. So I do really adore that one. And sometimes some things just come out of nowhere. I go in because I just like the way it sounds, and I find myself utterly blown away. So there's an author called Russell Dean. He wrote and is writing a series called Borrowed Time. It's a gay time traveling romance, but the romance is not spicy. It's just romantic. So I bought that one just because I saw a post of his. I thought, I'm going to support this indie author. Worst case scenario, I'm out £2. Yeah. That series is fast one of my favorites. I am so excited. So 2 of the books are out already. The second one, he's brought some of his own family background into. So There's a character who ends up with an immigrant who had come to Wales in the 1800s, which is where the main character Tom gets time traveled back to by a ring that just yeets him out of dangerous situations, but somehow that sends you back to 1800 Wales. I don't really know how that's safer, but yeah. And it was just it just blew me away. I fell in love with it so much. I tell everyone to read it, and it's sort of one of those things. It's not a romance, but there's romance in it. It's not hard fantasy. There's like really inconvenient time traveling. There's incredibly strong characters. There's tons of Welsh culture, and Tom, being English in the book, being sent back to 1800s Wales. 90% of the comments and dialogue to Tom in the book are him being made fun of for being English, which I wholly support. So yeah, it sometimes just gets you these gems like that. And just that's also the little circles that you're in. And yes, as Leslie's pointed out, Rin Chupeco, who did the Bone Witch series, is one of my absolute favorites.
Okay.
Just above me there. Excellent series, excellent trilogy, really fantastic. Lots of Filipino folklore and stuff.
You're of course, as always, when I interview my wonderful guests, my TBR is now swelling. So
oh yeah, I'm so bad for that. I am so bad for that, especially if you're like, oh, I'm interested in something that's like a little bit folklory or like based on this or based on this. I'm like, hold on, I've got this. Yeah, I have a lot of friends who, John, who I think is still here, I don't think has forgiven me for throwing Donna Wallace's series at him.
Oh yes, love that series. Love that series.
Oh, same. I've got all of them there. I've got. I don't know if you know. In December of last year, I got the symbols from the first 3 books tattooed on my leg.
Oh wow! No, I didn't.
Yeah. So I've got the bird, the spider, and the eagle going down my leg. And then, if you've read Michael R. Miller's Songs of Chaos series, I've got a scene from the. So good. I have a scene from the 3rd book tattooed on my foot.
That is fantastic.
I think you can't get a better book recommendation than I literally got this inked.
Yeah, I got it tattooed on my body. Yeah, that's a big endorsement.
Yeah, I was like, let me, like, when someone ever says, oh, is it a good series? And I'm like, I literally spent hundreds of pounds to have it with me all the time.
Yeah, that's definitely a permanent written endorsement.
Yeah, I was like, man, I really hope I love these books in 20 years. And I'm sure I will.
I'm sure you will. And Shauna is such a lovely person too. She's awesome.
Oh, Shauna is an absolute gem. I don't think you can get anyone more lovely as a person and more emotionally devastating as a writer than Shauna.
Yes. Phenomenal stuff. So in all that, where has your reading taste, and this may be not necessarily by design, it may be just happened by osmosis. How have your reading taste played out now in terms of the nominal split between indie versus traditionally published books?
I think I am a lot. I have it. It's on my Kindle L. It's already there.
That's on my TBR too.
That's in my phone. If I could pull it up right now, except I'm partway through Firstborn of the Sun, and I have to finish that because it is consuming my life right now. It's so good. It's so good. But yeah, I think it's a funny one. I think I'm a lot more forgiving with certain things in indie. Like I know a lot of people complain about, oh, there's so many errors. There's so many this. Like, yeah, but it's one person, and they like might be working out of their spare room, or like, and they have a full-time job. Whereas when you've got a trad team and you're supposed to have all the support, I don't take anything out on any author. I'm just going to say that I don't stamp on any author if there's a mistake or something. I don't think it changes like my taste too much, but I think one of the things I love is that the indie scene is so huge now. Like it's painfully huge sometimes. I have not enough hours in the day. But it means that there's always space for someone's story. Whereas like before it was like, oh, if I'm not trad, I'm not going to get looked at. Nobody's going to see this. And I'm sure that is probably true to some extent still, but not the same way. So I think, yeah, I don't think it's really like messed with my tastes too much. But I love that it's also putting some trad publishers in their place. Like when they said I've got a friend who's doing who is a multi-ethnic background person, and they are writing a story about a jewel heist, and the person is multi-ethnic in the group, and how do they rectify the two sides of their history to like navigate this heist. And they did approach a few publishers, and publishers like, oh, we just don't think there's really a market for that. But then you look at the indie scene where these non-typical stories are getting published and people love them and they're screaming about them on socials. And it's like, well, there you go. There is a market. There's room. There's always room. The bookshelf is endless.
Yes, yes, and that is the beauty of where I think the industry is going. That it's not going to matter at some point how you're published. Just the fact that if you got your book out there and there's an audience for it, it's going to do well. So,
and I think that's something that I always. There are a few books that I've read that I have absolutely hated, and I was like, this is just there is no. They wrote a book, and I'm so excited for them because it's a really difficult thing to do. Wasn't for me, but I think that's the other thing. Like, you've written a book. That's amazing. You've like built a whole world of people in your head, and you put it down. And even if only 5 people scream about it, you wrote a book. That's awesome.
Yeah, it still is a major accomplishment, irrespective of how big or small your audience is. So yeah.
And how big or small the book is. If your book's 100 pages, then amazing. You wrote 100 pages. That's so good. And if your book is 500 pages, doesn't need to be 500 pages, but you wrote a 500-page book. That's awesome.
No, I totally agree. Has BookTube also impacted you in the space? Are you someone who checks out a lot of the channels, and does it influence potentially what you might read?
I think it's more that, so I don't booktube by default. There are booktubers, yourself included, that if I see someone is being interviewed or someone is being talked about quite a lot, then I will have to look into that. I'm like, everyone's talking about this that I know of. I've got to see what's going on with this. But there's no, I don't think I go out of my way to like find them. It's sort of like once I find some people who I think generally, we have a lot of similar book taste. What are they talking about? But no, I'm much more peer pressured by special editions and everyone on like Twitter and Bluesky also shouting about a book. So if you get 3 or more people in my circle shouting about the same book, I have to go look at this thing. I have to see why.
Wow.
And then I spend too much money.
No, I hear you. I'm susceptible to it as well. I think you can lose a lot of hours of your life, which I have just, think through socials and especially YouTube. It definitely.
I think if I went down the BookTube route, I would end up with less time than I have now. And I'm already working on like a credit of time that if the universe calls it in, I'm in so much trouble.
Now, one of the reasons you're so busy, and one of the many reasons why we all admire you so much, is that you do quite a bit for conservation, ecology, and the environment. Can you speak a bit about?
Yeah, I wish I did more. And over time, I've done a bit less, not because I've not had time, but because the charity that I research assist for and do my PhD with has this amazing Indonesian project lead that has been with us for about 6 years or so. And she's so capable that it's meant they don't need me for as many things. But yeah, so I'm part of a slow loris conservation group, which they're a small nocturnal primate in and around Asia. They have an African cousin called the pato, which looks like you gave a medieval painter a vague description of a potato with feet. And they've created this. I encourage everyone to look up what a pato is, Potto. They're amazing. But yeah, so I look at the Asian section of that, which is the slow lorises. And yeah, it's something I've been doing since 2017 was my supervisor, and I just love it. I think the work that's done in conservation, the weird and wonderful wildlife, like we can come up with some really amazing creatures in fantasy, but when you start to list off the traits of a Job Slow Loris, they sound made up. Like they're about 1 kilo, so the size of a sack of flour. They have 2 tongues. They are venomous. They are they're fully nocturnal. They communicate in ultrasonic vocalizations. They have olfactory communications. They can not unhinge. They can hinge their jaw to 180 degrees. They can suspend themselves out with the incredible balance that every calisthenics and parkour person would be so jealous of. Like they're so weird. Fantasy cannot compete with this slow Loris in some ways.
Wow. And you know what? Extremely well said.
Reality is always here.
The fantasy, because just describing that creature is like, what?
Yeah, like, and the thing is, the more, so I was doing a paper where I was looking at reproductive behavior and how where the females are in their reproductive cycle, if that changes their ranging or their diet or all these things. And I was like, man, they're not anything like the other primates. Like, what am I going to do? And I ended up looking at bats. So I'm like, okay, this tiny primate that is on the primate tree is closer to bats in terms of post-reproductive behavior. And I was like, this is just, of course they are. Why would they be anything normal? Sure, let's look at bats.
Wow.
Yeah,
what led you to that specific aspect of life and caring about?
That was a failed attempt at being a clinical psychologist at the NHS. And I hated it so much during my placement. And I went crying to one of my third year professors. And I was like, you have to let me quit my placement. And if you don't, I'm going to drop out and I'm not going to get a degree and it's going to ruin my whole life. And it'll be all your fault because you made me do this placement. So they were like, do you want to work with dogs? I was like, oh God, of course. Yeah, I just want to work with dogs. So I ended up working in a dog lab, looking at how dogs solve puzzles and how they ask for help from people and how they determine who they asked help from, which is really, really fun. And there are some amazing researchers that have been doing that for far, far longer than I have even been in academia. And then I thought, well, I want to do some other stuff. So I went to some of the other professors and I said, you know, I'm around in the summer because I was an international student. I'm not flying back home for 3 months. It's too expensive. And they said, well, we've got some stuff with monkeys and touch screens if you want to be a part of that. Say less, I'm in. So I was doing that. And then I decided that I loved it. So I went and I looked into a master's. And I was working with a group of baboons at the zoo on dental flossing behavior because, of course, why not? And I went and presented at a conference, which is where I met my supervisor. I had just moved up to the area of England that I'm in, and my supervisor was based there at the time. And I said, oh, would you like some free labor? And those are magic words to any academic. Free labor. Oh, yes, they love it. So I was just starting with them, and I've gotten to do some super weird stuff. Like we were comparing saliva samples of hedgehogs and hamsters to slow loris venom and cat saliva. It was very strange, very fun. And I've gotten to do some stuff to help the field site team in Indonesia. And it's kind of just expanded in that sense. So it started by being a very failed clinical psychologist. Oh God, yeah, I hate chimps, as Leslie's pointed out. I absolutely hate chimps. I think I apologized to Jane Goodall for that, actually.
What? Just curiosity, what is it about chimps that you don't like?
They're very smart, and they're smart enough to know better, and they just don't do better.
So they're like kids. They're like kids.
Yeah, yeah, but they're like way worse. Like kids, you can be like, this is wrong. Like you can't do this thing. This is wrong. Don't do that. And chimps will be like, I'm not going to listen to you. And I'm going to, you know, go kill something together because it's the only way they work together.
It just sounds absolutely fascinating.
I love it so much. It's sort of like I have three great loves in my life, and the recent one is fantasy books and sci-fi books and horror and all that. So the recent one is the book world. But yeah, wildlife conservation is a true love of mine, and I wish I found it earlier in life, but I love it. And then yeah, the other one is circus. So if I'm not doing one of those three things, I'm probably dead.
Well, now you brought, so we have to hear about, so let me just preface this. So I remember one time, I think I saw one of your posts and I liked it, and I was like, and then I just have to notice, I think it was either on Instagram, I'm not sure where it was, and then I saw a picture of you literally suspending yourself,
That'd be Instagram.
Suspending yourself horizontally, and I was like, what?
That'll be Instagram.
To go back and start looking, it's like,
yeah.
Oh my gosh, like
that is one of my great loves.
Incredibly athletic. So okay, you got to talk about. Let me
circus. So this yeah. So if you're I am still on Twitter as a protest existence, because it's amazing how many people are mad when a woman has vocal views on things, and I live for that. So yeah, on my Twitter and on my Bluesky, that is like me screaming about books and some politics and stuff. My Instagram is 20% books, 80% circus. Yeah, you're welcome, Elle. You're gonna climb that rope, don't you worry. So yeah, I did gymnastics on and off for quite a long time, and I just like being upside down. And it's actually where I met my partner, was in gymnastics. And when I moved and I had gotten quite injured, and I was just really like, okay, I need something that's upside down and fun. So I fell into aerial silks, which for anyone who doesn't know is like a hinge and then two bits of fabric that go down. My friend calls it curtain dancing. And that's not wrong. And yeah, I found that in 2019. And once I started it, I was like, yep, I live here now. This is all I'm doing forever. I don't want to do anything else. And yeah, so that's about 3 times a week that I'm doing that. I started teaching a couple years ago as well, and I do a mix of group classes, and I've got some students that I teach one-to-one, and it's just fantastic. I love it. It's like, that's my Zen place.
Wow. Now, I spent a lot of time in gyms. All my kids are very athletic. My youngest daughter was a gymnast for a while, and then she got into cheerleading, and she's still in university now. She's still a university cheerleader. But
amazing.
And I've always marveled at the athletic ability of gymnasts, but what you do and the body contortion, that's on another level. Like that's something different.
I would encourage your daughter to look into circus, because my background is also cheerleading and gymnastics. Like, I did some cheerleading in high school, but circus is like taking all the fun of those things, but you don't have to support yourself the same way you do in gymnastics. Like, if I do a back flip or a back roll in the silks, they're there for me. They will catch me. I'm good. I don't have to spot anything. It's so nice. And with cheerleading, I was a flyer and a base. So I was both stepped on and stepped on people. So I would definitely send your daughter into circus, because I think she'll be like, this is my space. I'm here now. And wow. Yeah, it's amazing. I love it. And I think especially when you come from something like gymnastics, which can be very body type specific, sort of like you're too tall, you're too short, like this and that. Cheerleading is a bit more accessible in that sense. But circus, I think, has been so wonderful, because it literally does not matter. There is going to be a space for you. So, and I mean that like across the board. There is a studio that some of my friends teach at, and I know the owner, and she's wonderful. And they do hoop, which is literally what it sounds like. It's a metal hoop, and you do stuff on it. But they do a doubles routine with a woman who's in a wheelchair. So she has use of her upper body and her shoulders. So they kind of do this really lovely routine together, where the owner, who is fully able-bodied, supports kind of these different parts, so that the other woman is able to take part in these performances and be on the equipment and be part of it. So it's one of those things that it really doesn't matter. There's a space that we will make something work. If you think I can't get into that shape, that's fine. Don't do that shape. We've got a million other shapes we can do.
Well, I mean, Ariana, I'm telling you, with such a dynamic life, I personally think that there's a book there inside of you with, circus, with unique animals, with.
I think it's an animal thing, because my PhD supervisor who runs the charity that I research with is phenomenally cool. Like, she does historical dancing, she does historical costume making, she does like loads of animal stuff like that. So when you get into the wildlife world, people get weird and fun and interesting. And when you get in, obviously, to the book world, people are weird and fun and interesting. And the circus world is, again, weird and fun and interesting. So when you just start piling those on together, you get a very strange Venn diagram of an unhinged life.
No, as you said, very aptly, a weird and fun and interesting life, which is, I think, what, and that's what I love about the bookish, going back to the bookish world. That's what I love about it. That, I said this, I think I said this on a live a couple of days ago, and again, not to get too political. I said, you know what, if you want to solve world peace, turn it over to the nerds. Turn it over to us.
Oh my God, yeah.
Right?
We're so ready.
There won't be nuclear war. There's not going to be, ethnic.
Unless it's for a plot point.
Yeah. We're just, all we care about is enjoying each other, learning, having discussions. We communicate so well with each other. It's just usually, yeah. And
a lot of it's in memes. I would actually love it if all political interactions were just meme based. That'd be hysterical.
That's probably a book in itself as well.
There we go. I will leave that to someone else to write that. I'll happily beta read it.
Hey, EL's convinced you're going to write a book.
Elle is absolutely convinced. I'm not, but I will believe in the Elle that believes in me.
I don't know. Like I said, I've read your reviews. They're fabulous, and I think I don't know. We'll see. I'm willing to hedge my bets that.
I think reviews are so easy though. Like, the first thing is, I review the way I talk to my friends. So John, who I hope is still chilling out here, and Leslie can confirm this as well, is if I'm reviewing a book that I've talked to a friend about, that is like, all right, cool, that's my jumping off point. That's where I'm going. I'm not gonna be like, this is the greatest book, and like tell you all the reasons. I'm just gonna be like, if you look at this, is gonna read like an unhinged text message. And that's just how it works. That doesn't translate so well, I think, into writing an actual narrative that like you need to plot and there needs to be certain things. And you can't be like, yeah, I'll talk about that later. We're gonna focus on this weird bit now. Like, I don't think a reader would necessarily vibe with that.
Well, I think that, again, there's room to write a review however you'd like, to write a book however you'd like. And I don't know, I have a feeling that it can definitely have an audience if
it happens. I promise here and now on recorded YouTube that I will dedicate the book specifically to you and Elle.
Oh my gosh!
For being prepared for this before I was.
I would be so humbled. That would be yes, and I totally agree that not that you ramble incomprehensibly, because I haven't read reviews.
No, it's okay.
But that Ariana's reviews are absolutely awesome.
I'm always surprised when people say they've actually read my reviews, and I feel like that's probably the biggest thing that every author, every reviewer, every any creative person or content creator says. Like, I'm really surprised that people actually look at those. Like, yeah, I read my friends' reviews.
I feel the same way, and I've really slacked off on the reviews in the last year and a half to 2 years. You're
living your book dream. You're traveling to Worldcon. You're coming down from Worldcon.
Yeah, it's been a ride, but
to restabilize the emotions.
Yeah, I have to get back into even my reading is kind of suffered, and also too, I'm trying to finish the 7-book series, and I got to bring it home. I got to keep to that commitment of a book a year. So
that is an intense commitment, because they're not small books.
No, they're not. And but again, like you, working my full-time job and with family, and everything else I do, booktube, etc. There's only so much time. So to hopefully deliver a quality book,
I think that's where I'm really lucky. Like my partner and I, we kind of almost have to schedule time together. I'm only home one night a week actually, because I just do too much. But he loves when I go off and do weird book stuff, because then he can just be at home and like, I'm not going to ask him to help with anything. I'm not going to ask him like, oh, should we go do this? Should we go do that? Because it's just not a concern. He has to look after the cats, but that's fine. They're cute. So we don't have like, there are no children involved that I have to make sure grow up into reasonable members of society. I think that would definitely limit my time a lot more.
Well, you know what? And of course, Deb and I now, we're empty nesters. Everybody's grown and many of them have kids of their own. But I definitely hats off again to all those authors who are raising young children and working multiple jobs and do all these things in the middle of writing. I
just know where they find the time. Like, I know I'm busy, but I know they're way busier. Like Shauna, she's got 3 boys.
Yeah, 3 boys. Yeah, young boys.
What?
So,
yeah, and a dog and a husband.
I know she has a very supportive partner that
definitely.
Her husbands, but but at the same time, it is just like you, Ariana. It's a full rewarding life, and I wouldn't have it either way. I'm sure you wouldn't either.
And the posts of your family, whenever you have them of you and Deb on Instagram or something, they're just so lovely and they're so wholesome. You can just see like how much love there is in those pictures. If you ever want to adopt a 30-something-year-old expat, I'm always stealing family members.
Well, you're around the age. That's my oldest sons are around that age. So there you go.
Oh, perfect. Right? There you go. Just after this, let him know you got a new sister.
But I think the other thing we all admire about you, Erin, is that you're so positive and you're so warm and positive and welcoming. But yeah, the positivity, I think, definitely in the face of, let's face facts, it's a tumultuous world. Your love of books, and your love of people, shines through. And that's something that I just wanted to say that, it's why we all love you. So,
I think that's really funny, because I think most people would say that I am overly dramatic and largely pessimistic about things. And I think for my own personal life, I almost definitely am. But when it comes to things like books or on the academia side or in circus or anything like that, I love seeing when awesome people get to do awesome things and when good stuff happens to them. So that gets really exciting. And so whenever like Elle had her book out, what was it, 4 days ago? And that's been so exciting. And I've loved that. And I've been so excited when she said, yeah, it's gonna come out in August, I think, finally. And Pippin, who runs around sending rude selfies, but was having an amazing time. And also, I don't know if Ganesh told you his exciting life news at WorldCon.
I don't believe so.
Well, I won't spoil that, but I'm very excited for him. So I love when the people in my life or the people that I'm a fan of or just kind of anything like that, I love when they have awesome things happening for them. Because
maybe I'm not saying it in case I have it wrong, because we're talking
we don't want
a
to
bit.
Spill the beans.
Yeah, so we'll maybe confirm with Ganesh off camera at some point. So whether I have thinking about the right thing.
It might be. But yeah, so I think in those moments it's really easy to be positive because I'm just so genuinely excited for them. Like it's an exciting thing. And yeah, I whinge and post about a lot of the political stuff as well. But it's always just nice to find a happy moment in those things as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And I think that is also one of the things I love about the space in general, that you can meet so many positive, happy people and people who they're here for the love of, right? Books and all things bookish. And like I said, I'm so honored to be part of this community. I'm so blessed to get to do this and to sit down with wonderful people like you and chat.
Some awesome. I've seen some of the interviews. I've seen some of the people you get to interview with, and you get a good spread. I feel
Yeah,
like I'm the
I can't believe they want to talk to me for an hour or so. Like,
You're so
yeah,
great. Are you joking? You're so great. When I told them Ronnie I was doing this, I think secretly he was a bit jealous, also tired, but I think secretly he was jealous. Yeah,
that is
he's
sorry.
yeah, no, it's just yeah, no, you're great. Don't none of that.
Thank you. You're so awesome. Listen, I want to respect your time. I know you're busy with all the things you have to do.
I've cleared today. This is whatever you need, however you want to chat and yap about stuff. I am here for it.
And but I do want to, and you gave us some, as we're winding down, you gave us some amazing recs. Now,
Oh no.
Some, perhaps if we go back a bit to books at the inception of kind of your read journey here, because you gave us a lot of recs about things that you've discovered and read more recently. Like, what are some of those books that are your cornerstones now, that you're like your foundational books?
So it's a funny one because the gateway book to me into particularly sci-fi and fantasy was actually Tomi Adeyemi's Children of Orisha series.
Yes.
So I read Children of Blood and Bone in late 2019, early 2020, and I fell in love. I was like, this is so good. I am loving this. I read the second book. I just devoured that. My caveat to everyone who thinks about it is don't read the third book. Just end it on book 2. You won't feel unfulfilled. Trust me. Just learn through my mistake. But so that one, regardless of my feelings for book 3, is always going to be really special because that was like my gateway book. And from there, I found Tasha Surrey's first duology. What was it? Empire of Sand, Realm of Ash.
Yeah.
So that one's really wonderful. And that kind of snowballed into when I started following Tasha's stuff online. And that's where I found the Sapphic Trifecta, which I adore and live for. So I have like some default recommendations, and that's always the Bone Witch trilogy, the Radiant Emperor duology, Shelley Parker Chan, because it's just stunning, so good. And then C.L. Clarke's Magic of the Lost, which the third book is next month. I absolutely adored.
I'm behind. I only read the first one. I'm behind.
Oh my god, you need to catch up. Just live blog to me your entire experience. I'm so with you on this journey. And then I fell into, of course, you can't talk about books now without mentioning Ryan Cahill's The Bound of the Broken series, which is this stack here. You can see it's already breaking my shelf.
Hefty stack. Yep. There's some.
Oh yeah, he's not slowing down on those. But I feel like without the Children of Orisha series, none of the other titles would have followed. I wouldn't have known that, because I don't like Tolkien, and I thought because I don't like Star Wars, I was like, oh, I don't like fantasy and I don't like sci-fi. I just don't like Tolkien and I don't like Star Wars. I actually really love fantasy and sci-fi.
Yeah, it's funny how I always say now I'm in my beyond Tolkien era that, when I was younger, I would have thought there would never have been a time when Lord of the Rings was not going to place in my top 2 fantasies of all time, and it's not there anymore. It's not in the top 5 anymore, and that's I guess there's a sense of nostalgia that goes, oh well, that's too bad. But then at the same time, that means that I've grown, I've evolved beyond, like you said.
So now I'm curious. What are your top 5? That's like a really hot seat question.
Well, I kind of separate it, and it's not because, and we talked about whole trad indie thing, it's not because that I think indie or trad, there's better or worse. I just do it, I think, from an exposure standpoint, and to kind of cheat and get more books into my top books.
Yeah. So it's like a rolling list.
Yeah. So on the trad side, well, let's just say this. So on the trad side, my favorite series is Jenny Wirt's Wars of Elijah Shadow. So that is
everyone tells me I need to look at this.
Yeah, traditionally published, that is my top traditionally published fantasy of time. And on the indie side, it's Philip Chase's Edan series. The wonderful Philip Chase.
Okay.
That is.
I started the first one, but I think it was not the right time for me. But everyone I know loves it, so I was like, this is clearly I need to restart this.
Yeah, that is, and again, as you said, there's always books that are for you or not for you. But just personally for me, those are my But I mean, there's other, but like in my top series now on the traditional book side, like Lord of the Rings. There's books like the Malazan Book of the Fallen is up there now. It's a series, the Warlord Chronicles by Bernard Cornwell. There's a bunch of other series that have supplanted the Lord of the Rings, and it's
just falling further down that list.
Yeah,
and that's the thing. I never read the books. We had them in the house because my father and my brother are big fans. We just you can leave again, Zach. Don't worry about that.
Big shout out to ZB. How you doing, brother?
Yeah, love Z.
He's awesome.
Shockingly, I do love Z. But yeah, it was sort of that thing. Like, I never read the books. I didn't see the films until I was 21, because I didn't think I liked it. So I was like, this just sounds boring. What do you mean that like you're just walking through a forest for what? Why? Why is it 3 books? You're just walking.
Yeah,
I've gone walking. It's not hard.
I think what it is for me is that as I've grown and my crazy journey through life, especially the kind of work that I did for a long time and still doing, I think the more mature, well-rounded kind of books, the books that include, messy, flawed characters and, those are the books that I was more drawn to. I like Malazan, right? But as y'all said, Tolkien is nostalgic, but it's actually no longer in the top upper echelon. But that's okay though. That, like I said, that means that I grew and I evolved.
But it feels really awkward in some ways. So I work for Oxford University, and if they see this, it's a great place to work. No, it is actually. I really love it. But I work for Oxford University, which Tolkien was at. We have the annual Tolkien lecture.
Yeah.
And I'm not a huge fan of the Chronicles of Narnia, but I'm incredibly basic, so I love Alice in Wonderland. But I feel almost like I need to be scared. Like I need to check over my shoulder. No one's looking. I'm not at Pembroke College. And then I can be like, I'm not a fan of Tolkien. But it feels really like
sacrilegious almost.
Almost heretical to be like, I'm not a fan of Tolkien.
Well,
but I think for a lot of people, it's just that idea of nostalgia more than anything. Sort of like when you go back and you watch your favorite film now that you had when you were like 7, you're like, there's a lot of plot holes actually.
No, I totally agree. ZB Inquiring Minds want to know what the current number 1 is.
Oh, for L, yeah. I wonder what L's number 1 is.
For L. So
L's gonna be like, this wasn't. Apparently it's the Draconis Memoria. I don't know that one.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, I'm not familiar with that one.
Yeah. Well, that's one for us both. Then we've
got one to put on the TBR. Get that shoes.
So I need to.
TV's goated.
He's pretty good. So I need to get into then the way of Edan. And what was the other one? Jenny Wirtz.
Jenny Wirtz, Wars of Light and Shadow. So Jenny Wirtz series, phenomenal. Now, fair warning, a lot of people struggle with the prose because it's very dense. It's very lush. So
I don't know if you can see it quite there. R.R. Verdi's 2 books are in that top corner, so don't worry about dense. I could knock a child out with those books.
Okay, I gave you fair warning. So do you feel with PL Lord of the Rings classic, probably the most important work of fantasy, but I don't love the books. The books I do love are inspired by him. Yes, I agree.
I think that's the thing. Like, you have to look at Lord of the Rings as like the gateway book. That's kind of what gave people the space to explore magical worlds more. Because obviously we've always had folklore. It's foolish to say that Tolkien is behind folklore. We've always had folklore. Every culture does. But it was sort of that time where it was like, hey, you can take these magical worlds and you can put them on paper and people will like them. So I think for a lot of people, their books, their worlds wouldn't exist without that Tolkien one. But I wouldn't at all say that's the same for every culture ever, because every culture has folklore and stories.
Agreed. Just to clarify, I guess for Draconis Memoria is actually the Anthony Ryan season. I actually never read anything by Anthony Ryan.
That does not surprise me. Elle is like Anthony Ryan's number 1 fan.
Ah, okay. I hear you. I hear it's fast paced, and I hear it's very gritty. So
And he's
again,
supposed to be like a really lovely person, so
yeah.
I
It's
back
it,
all of
it's
this.
Vivian. If you like lush prose, Jenny Wirtz. I mean,
I'm in.
for me, it starts and ends with her. So I highly recommend it. She's my favorite author, and just a warm, wonderful, supportive human.
Is
One
she
of the best
still
people I've met.
is she still publishing then as well? Like
Oh
she's
yeah,
still
she's still
publishing?
right. Yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
amazing.
she's still right. And she's. I mean, if you check out my channel, you can see
Oh, I will.
many interactions with her, including
Yeah.
6 and
I mean I know her name. I mean I hear it everywhere. I just haven't had that 5 minutes to go explore.
No, and I know it's a lot. It's a lot to digest. So,
There's there are
um,
many books.
but listen, again, I'm going to respect your time.
No,
But
don't.
as
Yeah, I don't
as
talk about books forever.
as we wind down, I do want to give you the opportunity to let everybody know where to find you in this space, where we can find your reviews, for example, SFF Insiders, Grimoire Inc., all your social media, like where we can see
Yeah.
you, hold yourself, horizontally in the circus.
I am tragically available on every platform. I am on all the things. I am on like every Discord. But yeah, I am still on Twitter and Bluesky as just airy things for both of them. It's me. There is a horse in my picture because I've had this conversation today. There is a horse in my picture. I am distrustful of horses. It's not a happy photo. I am terrified. So if you see a terrified face near a horse, that's me. I'm on Instagram and you can find me on there. But again, that's like only 20% books. And then I'm reviewing for Grimoire Inc. And I think there's some still, I think my reviews are still up on SFF Insiders, but not by my name anymore. So I am on TikTok, Elle. I just don't use it. I'm on everything.
Wow.
I'm on non-Western ones. If someone's on Little Red Book, Xiaohongshu, I'm on there. I'm on Weibo. I'm on WeChat. You almost can't not get hold of me.
And typically, are the handles just everything's as well in terms of?
For Bluesky and Twitter, yes. For Instagram, it's ariana.victoria.w. And I'm always under one of those names. And I'm on. I think we're both on the same Keymark Discord server.
Yeah. I have to. I'm horrible.
There.
I was so horrible with Discord. I just run out of time and I never get to it, and sometimes forget it actually exists. So I have to.
Yeah, I think that's how Discord is for most people. I just Z. That was little finger heart. I wasn't just like being rude. Yeah, I'm on Discord way too often. Like I probably have to go check and make sure nothing's crazy on some of the servers that I mod, and I'm not even that. They're not massive servers. But
wow,
like it's like whenever you're doing something, that's when people message you about stuff. But like the rest of the time, nobody has anything to say.
Well, I want to thank you so much, Ariana, first for being so wonderful, and I just love chatting with you. Enjoyed all the insights.
Thank you again for inviting me.
You.
So lovely.
It was so great for people to get to know you. You're such a wonderful person in this space. Thank you so much, Leslie, for saying that. Thank you so much to everyone who came out to support Ariana in the chat, and everyone who's going to watch the replay. You are what makes this type of long form content amazing. I don't care what anybody says. Long live long form content. I love it.
Yes. Gotta have the replay button.
Yeah. Check out
those other West Coast people who didn't wake up at 5 a.m. like an ish.
Check out everything and everywhere that Ariana is. Follow her on socials. Check out her reviews on SFF Insiders and on Grimoire Inc. as well.
Again, you won't find you will know my reviews on SFF Insiders by the tone, but they won't have my name as I stepped down. But yes, on Grimoire, you can always find us, and your books will be reviewed on there soon. I can tell you that, so you should keep an eye out for that.
Oh my gosh, you're going to read my books? Oh wow.
Yeah, they're not just decorative.
Well, they're the special editions. Some people just collect them and they just.
Well, I do that too. No, so I do that too as well. Like if you go through my Kindle and you go through what's on my shelf, there's a lot of duplicates. There's a reason for that. But
well, I'm extremely honored and humbled. For me, some shameless self promotion, and actually something that Ariana did review, and I think she believes she enjoyed. I'm D.L. Stewart. I'm the author of the John King Saga, and
Oh my
also
God,
I
everyone
have.
has to read that. It was so good. 5-star review. I had no problem. If you want like a breakdown of what I thought of every single story in there, it was absolutely banging. Like so good. Yes, amazing.
I'm so happy you enjoyed it. This
It
is
was so
Shapers
good.
of World, Volume 5, an anthology with some absolutely brilliant authors. I don't know why they picked me, but I have to have a story in here. It's called Forest Dark. It's set in my John Kingdom universe, centuries before the events of the main series. So if you like the fantasy horror stuff, check that out for me. But also really check out the anthology for the heft of the amazing authors that are in this.
I don't think there was one story in there I didn't like. It was so good. It was so strong.
It's a great anthology. I'm also the author of the John King Saga. 5 books out now. A Pack of Wolves just came out in 2025. Book 6, entitled A Black Dragon on Red, is expected in the spring of 2026. Thank you.
We're gonna do it 1 book a year. We got this.
I'm trying. Obviously, you can find me at PL Stewart Writes is typically all the socials on Twitter, Instagram, etc., Facebook, etc. And the channel here, PL Stewart, John King Saga, where I get to interview amazing people such as Ariana on my 6 Elemental Interviews feature, and also my wonderful, talented partner, Taylor from Maybe Between the Pages. Check out her channel. She's an amazing book tour as well. And we do the Page Chewing interview series under the Page Chewing umbrella. So
you two are busy. I love this. I love a bookish couple. This is my favorite.
Yeah. So Taylor is awesome. Taylor is awesome, and she is. And shout out to my lovely wife Deb, babes, if you're watching, love you, of course. And yep, and Deb.
Just a hi for Deb because I think she's great.
Yeah, she is amazing, and she sends hugs back to you, Ariana. And hopefully, we get to see you, perhaps maybe in Montreal in 2027.
Fingers crossed.
So,
failing that, there's space for you at mine, and I'll take you all around Oxford, and we'll just have an absolute whale of a time.
Oh my gosh, thank you so much. That would.
And this is recorded, so there is evidence that I'm this.
Well, we're definitely going to get to the UK, get back to the UK, and definitely England at some point. So that
amazing. Can't wait to see you here. Great.
So for everyone that joined, again, thank you so much, and we will see you next time. Take care. Bye-bye now.